This is way more fun with a friend, I must say.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing about stuff like this. It is fun to do it with someone else.
Yeah. We are going to make falafel today. I made this recipe last night, so I know for a fact that it's delicious. It was a huge success at a dinner party. The trickiest part about it is the deep frying, which really isn't that big a deal. You need to be deep frying at home if you want to make falafel. I don't really endorse baking falafel. I'm not going to show you how to do that. It's going to be okay. I promise. These are chickpeas that are dried. These are chickpeas that have been soaked in water overnight. As you can see, they've over doubled in size. We've hydrated them. The most important factor in creating a falafel is the texture and the size of the blitzed up chickpeas. If they're too finely ground, the falafel will be dense. If they're not finely ground enough, it'll be kind of hard and brittle. We're gonna break these down until they look like the texture of a finely chopped nut. You can see that they're pretty well broken down. There are still some large pieces. I'm gonna blitz them a couple more seconds. I'm gonna do half an onion. You don't have to be precise about your cuts here because it's ultimately gonna end up in the food processor, but you just wanna break it down a bit smaller so that it breaks down at the same rate as all the rest. So just coarsely chopping this. This is a great tool for collecting lots of pieces of vegetables. One jalapeno, also chopping this. I'm gonna leave the seeds in. That's gonna provide some heat. And then one garlic clove, just gonna smash it with the back of the knife and add it. So we want about 1/2 cup of chopped parsley. Just coarsely chopping the parsley, it's gonna get broken down a lot more in the food processor. About 1/2 cup and 3/4 cup of cilantro. If you happen to have more parsley than cilantro, or you have mint at home and you don't have enough cilantro, the most important thing is just that in total you have 1 1/4 cups of chopped herbs. Scrape down the sides of this bowl. Similar texture to the chickpeas, and it's nice and bright green, which is what's gonna make the inside that pretty vibrant green color when it comes out. Okay, so we're just gonna stir to combine these and make sure that all the herbs and aromatics get evenly distributed. We are going to add 3 tablespoons of ground chickpea flour here, and that is going to serve as a binding agent so that your falafels don't fall apart in the deep fryer. 2.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, which is going to provide lightness and lift so that they're not dense. I have a teaspoon of cardamom and 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. So all that's left here is to form these into ping pong sized balls. So you're just going to grab a small handful and gently pack them together. They're going to feel like they might fall apart. They won't. The chickpea flour is here to save the day. Something about that size. And then repeat. So it's going to take me a minute. 20 minutes later, still making
reinforcements.
Thank you. Okay, so we're just going to form these into ping pong sized balls. That's
it.
That's all she got.
All right. Are you trying to squeeze moisture out of it or
No, because the moisture is what's going to help create the steam and cook the chickpeas inside when they're frying. So yeah, nailed it. Nailed it. So the falafel balls have all been formed, but before we go to fry them, we're gonna make a spicy green tahini sauce. So I'm just gonna coarsely chop those same herbs that we had in the falafel, cilantro and parsley. So you can include some of the tender stems of the parsley and the cilantro because they're ultimately getting pureed anyway. And there's a lot of flavor in the stems. I'm gonna add 3 cloves of garlic. I'll just lightly smash those. A teaspoon of fenugreek and a teaspoon of cumin. And a good pinch of salt, and this is gonna help break everything down. And we're gonna add the tahini and lemon juice to the food processor, and we'll puree that. And we're looking for something about the texture of sour cream here. That looks better. A little bit more salt. And the fenugreek is imparting a really nice earthy bitterness to this tahini sauce. I would call that seafoam green. Oh geez, balls rolling all over the place. Okay, so the fryer oil is at 330 degrees, which is a little bit lower than you would normally deep fry something at. And that's because we want the inside of this to cook before it takes on too much color on the outside. One way to avoid the splatter is to use a spider, which is a really useful tool in the kitchen. So just a couple at a time, I'm gonna lower these into the oil and we'll let them cook for about 5 minutes. So if your oil is right at 330, once you drop in 12 falafel, the temperature is gonna drop significantly, so you can crank the heat up a little bit to try and combat that. Okay, you can see they're already starting to take on some color here, but we're gonna let them go quite a bit further. It's only been about 2 minutes, so keep on keeping on. Notice they're perfect round little orbs. Okay, I'm gonna put them onto this wire rack so that they drain. And then I'm gonna season them right when they come out of the oil with salt, because the salt will adhere to the hot falafel much better than if they're cold. Smell. How good does that smell?
Good.
I wish that we had smell-o-vision. Okay, so we have warm pita, which is very important. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of the green tahini. And then I have a lovely cabbage, mint, and tomato salad over here that's gonna act as a nice, refreshing foil for the fried falafel. A couple of falafel balls, some more sauce. I mean, that looks pretty badass. So it wasn't that big a deal. We did it on the food processor. It took 5 minutes to fry them. You might as well invite some friends over if you're gonna make 24 falafel balls. Set out some pita, set out some cabbage, some hummus, tahini, and have a falafel party.
What? Molly, it's not working.
It's just, no. Fear not. It seems like it's not working. Gentle pack, not
Okay.
too dense.
All right. Are you frying these or baking them?
Oh, hell yeah, we're frying them. Baking them.